I think it's all about like where humans fit best. I would say like from like the like business lens that I've like sat in, right? It's always been like one or the other, right? It's either like this repetitive automation sitting on top of your desktop, or it's like this ML model that goes into a black box. You have no idea what it's doing, but it's making decisions, right? And like there's like never really been this like nice like marriage, if you will, between like humans and like the technology, right? And I think that's like probably like the point or the tipping point that we're at right now is like you can't do either, right? It's like it's not one or the other. They're actually like best together, and we've got to get like that change management of like where are they best together, and like how do you like manage both of them as a leader in an organization?
I think that's where people kind of go off the cliff with a lot of this stuff, especially thinking about the data scientists. When you're moving to this new world where it's like, no, we're controlling this with data, right? The humans are in control. For a data scientist that is used to controlling things through these, meticulously crafted features, it's interesting because it's really scary on the one hand from a data scientist perspective, because you're like, oh, I've got no control. But then from the business perspective, you're like, oh, well, suddenly I have control, right? Suddenly I can actually define this in data as opposed to just kind of like hoping that we get it right in features, right?
I mean, it's also a loss of control from the data scientist because they're used to being the person that's asked to explain what's going on, right? And now the business user can sort of tell themselves the story. I think there's probably, I don't know, I'm probably a minority on this opinion, but I think there is probably opportunity to have the best of both worlds and spend more time on understanding like why are the machines doing what they're doing. I think that benefits everybody.
Yeah, I think to me, like the key word there that I really like is control and like control panels. And that's where I think I get upside down on a lot of notions of explainability as well. Because I think like no one's going to argue against explainability. I can't argue against explainability. Everyone wants to understand how these processes work and how these models work and how these people work, right? I think the thing that people don't necessarily then do is take the next step is say, like what is explainability? Because staring at 1,000 feature weights, it's like explainability in some academic sense, but nobody understands model after looking at that. And I do feel like the notion of pairing understanding with your ability to modify and change this model is really key, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you claim to understand it, but then you can't change it, do you really understand it? Or kind of how useful is that understanding if it can't translate into action?